Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Hourglass Forum. And I'm Art Mann, chairman of the Hourglass. And I wanted to make a brief introduction to Lee Zickman, who's standing to my right. After an exhaustive worldwide search, we found Lee, who went to Warwick High School and to Dickinson College, and conveniently lives in Lancaster County. And with no further ado, I'll introduce Lee, and she can speak for herself and talk about herself or whatever she would like to share. Awesome. So, welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. Can I get a thumbs up if you can hear me all right? Okay, great. Thank you all so much for being here on this chilly First Friday and the last of our First Friday forums this year. Just to kind of add on to what Art shared, my name is Leah Zickman. I'm so excited to be at the Hourglass. I'm coming from about 5 years at a nonprofit called StoryCorps. I would love a show of hands if you all are familiar with the work. Amazing. It was a nonprofit that did oral history and storytelling. And I'm so excited about the story of Lancaster that we have here, what we can all learn from one another, and to be in this space and these forums. So enough about me. We have quite a lot to get through today. And so I just wanted to introduce our speaker, Mayor Sorace, who is here today to talk about our master tourism plan in Lancaster. You will see on here that we were also supposed to have Milsey here speaking as well. She is ill today, so the mayor will be doing the majority of the talk. So we will start with her. She'll go through the master tourism plan. This is something we're really excited to learn about, something they've been working really hard on. And she'll speak for about 40 minutes, and then we'll move to a question and answer. So be prepared with questions and enjoy. And before we get in, I just wanted to extend a special thank you to our First Friday Forum sponsor, Rogers & Associates, for making these gatherings possible. And then also thank you to Millersville University for hosting us here, and to Shoemaker for providing all of our live streaming services. Okay. Would you like that? Yeah. Should we do an intro? Quick come out of the room? Sure. We usually do. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm getting my cups mixed up. Okay. Sorry. We can start here, and I can just. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Really quickly, we'll just pass the microphone around, and if you'll say your name and who you're here representing, that would be great. And we'll start right here.
I'll go first. Hi, everybody. Rob Jones. I'm with First National Bank.
Steve Garner, Northeast Neighbors United.
John Hershey, Lancaster County Planning Department.
Wes Farmer, representing the Boys and Girls Club, and I'm retired.
Hilda Shirk, just me.
Diana Martin, High Foundation and Partners for Environmental Stewardship. And welcome, Leah. So excited to have you.
Rod Shoemaker, Shoemaker PDT.
Tim Lapp, Hourglass, Lancaster.
Joshua Drews, Community First Fund.
Hi, Rob Reed, Lancaster Science Factory.
Brian Davison, Hourglass, and Davison Associates.
Peter Carchiarto, Beers and Hoffman Architecture.
Ed Kaminsky, Landis Communities.
Good afternoon, Brad Forey, Horse Construction.
Hey everyone, Jeremy Patrick, Rogers and Associates.
Sam Meekum, the law firm of Apple, Yost & Z.
Cynthia Boyer Blakesley, attorney in Leola.
Bob Smith, Stratum Consulting.
Marvin Stauffer, retired Willow Valley resident.
Patty Otto, community volunteer. Wally Otto, trailing spouse.
Larry Cohen, Parking Authority. And to help tourism, we're starting our 12 free days of on-street parking on December 14th through 26th.
Okay, behind you.
Tim Stuhlter, editor of One United Lancaster, sponsored by United Way of Lancaster County.
Hi, Laura Pauls Thomas, representing the Global Shapers Lancaster Hub and various bicycling organizations.
Hi, my name is Andrew Pauls Thomas. I'm an independent consultant.
Hi, I'm Doug Groff with Scenic Ridge Construction.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Kraft. I'm with the Lancaster Parking Authority.
Hi, I'm Marshall Miller. I'm a resident and political organizer in the city.
Hello, Nikki Rivera, representative-elect for House District 96.
Ben Morton, RGS Associates.
Derek Jensen, also RGS Associates.
Monty Milner, Hourglass.
Alice Yoda, County Commissioner.
Art Mann, Hourglass.
Lauren Finn, Senior Planner for the city.
Michael Rowan, Hourglass.
Joel Cliff with Discover Lancaster, the county tourism promotion organization.
Hi, everyone. I'm Wyatt Berenger with the Mayor's Office of the City of Lancaster.
Yasmin Way, Office of Promotions for the City of Lancaster.
Zaira Falu, City of Lancaster Language Services.
Okay, I think that's the room. Thank you all for that. There's some new faces in the room, so really I'm excited to welcome you all here. I'm going to do my best Milsey Carrasco, as if you haven't met her, Milsey is the Director of Neighborhood Engagement that oversees our Bureau of Tourism and Promotions. And today I'm going to talk about our master planning process and why? Why plan for tourism? We have a lot of really excellent tourism opportunities here in Lancaster County and in the city. And we know that tourism drives our local economy. We know that visitors spend millions of dollars here. It creates jobs and stimulates further business investment and development. It also provides us an opportunity to really elevate our culture and our understanding of one another. We are a very, very diverse community. It supports the historic preservation of our historic resources here in the city that we are quite proud of, and catalyzes investment in our public spaces, to name a few things, let alone the pride that comes from really promoting our city and our community. So here in Pennsylvania, it's a big business. Pennsylvania is a 4-season tourism destination. And, when I talked about how much the local tourism drives our economy here in Lancaster, which I'm going to get to that data in a minute. Here in Pennsylvania, it's a $76.7 billion with a B enterprise. And it's poised to become much bigger in Pennsylvania because of our new governor, who has put $15 million with state support. So yes, thank you to the soon-to-be our state representative. Applause for you, Nikki, because anybody who goes through an election should be applauded. And you also were working full-time, so I appreciate that. But with the support of our state legislature, Governor Shapiro proposed a $15 million increase and then subsequently raised the annual state allocation from $4 million to $19 million. So there is a new Deputy Secretary of Tourism, and there's a launch of 2 statewide campaigns, which you may have heard about, which are the Great American Getaway, and it's Follier in Pennsylvania. That was not mine. That was somebody else's. But, prior to this, when Pennsylvania's state allocation for the entire state was $4 million, and we were still generating $76.7 billion in economic impact, you can, translate that into more investment means that there's going to be more economic impact. Of course, that is the goal. And what I would also say is that the state of Pennsylvania has been lagging consistently in terms of our spend in relation to our neighbors to the north, east, south, and west. Here in Lancaster, here in Lancaster County, tourism is also big business.
almost 10 million visitors in 2023 and spending $2.6 billion with a B. And I'm so glad that Joel is here from our partners at Discover Lancaster because they are our destination marketing organization here in the county and are responsible for tracking all of this data. So in 2023, we had, as I said, almost 10 million visitors. That was a 1.5 increase and a 4.3% rise in spending, that $2.6 billion. This industry is supporting almost 26,000 jobs, including about 17,000 direct industry positions. So we know that, that this is significantly contributing, and as locals here in Lancaster, we know when we have out-of-town guests that come into town, that we are directing and guiding them to some of the local tourism features in the county and in the city. And so we wanted to be intentional about how we can tap into this opportunity to support our local businesses here in downtown Lancaster. And so with the goal of enhancing our local economy and celebrating supporting our businesses and celebrating our cultural heritage, we are pushing forward with this tourism master plan. So this is the first one that we've ever had. We've never done this before in the city of Lancaster. It aligns with our comprehensive plan, which many of you have already heard about, which is our Future Lancaster. And it aims to guide our development, promotion, and investment over the next decade. So here's our vision, that Lancaster City envisions a future where authentic, sustainable tourism enriches our historic community, empowers local economy, and enhances the quality of life for all of our residents, elevating our city's reputation as the vibrant culture and economic heart of Pennsylvania Dutch country. This is not an either or. This is not competing with the county. This is about making the pie bigger and really celebrating the opportunities that are here in the city, because there are people that will want to come and have just an urban experience, and there are people that are going to want to go to Jake's Buggies, and that's it. And that's okay. But we want to be able to position the city in this space in order to really capture more of that tourism growth and potential. So we have 3 goals to set the community's goals and priorities, to guide the future destination development planning efforts. By destination development, we mean those attractions and things that are going to be coming online that are going to be really interesting to people who are visiting the city and also who live here, and also identify key projects and promotional outreach priorities for the Bureau. So these are our objectives. A key part of this is really trying to understand what is the city's role, the city of Lancaster specifically, our role as it relates to economic development and economic growth. We have wonderful partners in the Lancaster City Alliance and the Lancaster EDC that are working on economic development. We have the coalition, the Small Business Coalition, Wyatt, what is it called? It's just blanking, left my brain. We have a Small Business Coalition, as well as we have assets and other organizations that are working to support small businesses. But there is not really anyone that's locally promoting all of the business community but for the city. And so we want to continue to expand that sustainable economic growth. Now, let me also just be clear. We have FIG that's doing a wonderful job promoting businesses in the city. We have Discover Lancaster, for whom we are partnering with to promote businesses in the city. And those efforts are happening in partnership with the city of Lancaster, and alongside of them is the city coming along to support those efforts and continuing to consistently communicate what our value proposition is to visitors, and continuing to elevate the city, as I mentioned, as an economic hub in this broader Pennsylvania Dutch tourism that we are internationally known for. People from around the world, when you show them a picture of a buggy and you say the word Lancaster, they know what that brand is. And that is significant and really a testament to the sustained and consistent communication of a brand that Discover Lancaster has done very well for many, many years. Let's see, I'm gonna move on from that slide. So we've looked at a lot of data, and this is, again, this effort, developing this effort, was really informed by a lot of data. So we've looked at time of the week when people are visiting, the days of the week, the time of the day. We've looked at where they're coming from. And this is a really interesting map to me because there's a lot of people that are coming from the county to the city for lots of things. And oh, by the way, they're also shopping. They're also going to the Fulton. They're also having dinner, et cetera, et cetera. So as we developed this plan, we wanted to make sure, very similar to our commitment as part of the comprehensive plan, to hear from a lot of people and a lot of diverse constituents. So 3,000 community surveys, 2 validation sessions, including one here at the Ware Center, 2 business community sessions, 14 focus groups, and a lot of one-on-one interviews to really understand what is special about the city of Lancaster. How do we relate it to this broader context that is so very successful? And I would say that we now with our multilingual communication tools, as well as the lessons that we learned from the comp plan, really did an amazing job of reaching a lot of different sectors of our community that live, work, own businesses here, but may not think of themselves as related to a tourism plan. Because often when we think about tourism, we think about people that aren't part of our community, that are visiting our community. But we also know that when we build a city that tourists like to visit, we also need to build a city that is for the residents of the city, and that's what makes it authentic. Because you can build something that people will want to come and visit that no one from the neighborhood wants to be part of. And that is not what we are about with this tourism master plan. And I think that that was one of the fears going into this, is that we are just going to further gentrify or make downtown or other parts of the city just for tourists. That is not the key to success, and it is also not the key to really making sure that we support and sustain our independent retailers who are from Lancaster, that are making their living here, that are investing so much of themselves in their small businesses. So we did a lot of talking to a lot of people, collected a lot of information, and these are some of the key insights that came, that emerged consistently across all of the data. That we take particular pride in being diverse and multicultural, and that we want that to be part of our brand. That there's a lot of independent businesses and a lot of creatives that have made Lancaster their home, and that we are have a consistent welcoming message here in the city, that we're safe, that we're walkable, and that we're friendly. These were things that came up repeatedly. And that we have this amazing history of architecture and the beauty of our downtown. Especially, I'm very proud to say, our DPW team, I think, does a great job bringing the wreaths out. Obviously, we have the most perfect Christmas tree this year. And so all of that, people really are proud of, and they want to see it celebrated and acknowledged in the brand of our tourism master plan. Residents also expressed some desire for change. They did feel a little bit left out of the county's tourism program, and this is no offense to the great work that Discover Lancaster, but I think it was really a call to action for how to connect these things. How do we talk about these things together? And that the city is not about Amish or buffets or these other things that are really traditionally known in the county, and that's okay. We can have something different, and different is good, and that those things can be connected for some people, and they can be disconnected because there may be people who aren't really interested in that, but really want to come downtown and take advantage of an incredible food scene. That's good. Also, they wanted to see more attention on our history and heritage. I think that we have this an amazing opportunity with the Thaddeus Stevens and Lydia Hamilton Smith Center for Democracy to be able to elevate our role in the story of America and the history of Thaddeus Stevens, the abolitionist story from Lancaster. All of this is really ripe for the telling. And they wanted to see more of a return to the arts and a focus on the arts community here in Lancaster. And finally, more culinary storytelling. Wow, we make a lot of lists. Food and wine. I can't remember. Passerine just made a list. There's a lot of really excellent options for dining in the city of Lancaster, and that is very much informed and supported by our refugee community that have opened spaces that are also amazing food that you would not necessarily think that you would find in a place like Lancaster that's known for its Pennsylvania Dutch cuisine. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick reprise of the things that we have going for us, because this is something that our consultant team just could not get over. They're like, usually we come into a community and we want to do a tourism master plan and we got to like dig for it. You know, like what are we going to like promote? You guys, we don't have to do much digging. You have incredible independent retail, which more and more people want an independent retailer to curate things that they would not find anywhere else. We have diverse museums, including the Science Factory. We have an artist community. We have a central location with multimodal access. Read, we have a train station, which many communities in Pennsylvania our size do not. We have an amazing food scene. We have we have enough hotel space, and we have short-term rentals that are throughout the city, and again, safe, clean, and walkable. Challenges: no clear brand identity for the city within a larger, well-established brand that is Lancaster County. So we got to work on that. We have no consistent revenue stream to support coordinated marketing efforts, and that is a problem because every business will tell you what's the first thing that's going to go, which is marketing money. And it has been the hardest thing for the budget to sustain year after year to be able to tell the story about the city. The perceptions and our experience around safety and parking availability, which Larry and I can commiserate about this. The perceptions around safety, I will tell you, during this study phase were largely around our unhoused community, which to me is a very false narrative, but I understand that it is a perception. There certainly have been incidents in which the police have been involved with those that are unhoused, but that is not the tradition. And that is not tradition is not the right word. It is not the experience that we have as downtown residents or even what the data bear out in terms of our public safety. In fact, many of you probably know this or saw this, or maybe I've already talked about it with you all here, but we just did a staffing analysis with our police bureau that took a look at how many police officers do we actually need. And because our call volume has diminished over the last decade, we actually need fewer officers, which is a really good thing. I think that's a testament to a lot of work that the Police Bureau has put in, but it's also a lot of work from community organizations, our neighborhood group, our Department of Neighborhood Engagement, our housing team, all of us working together to make sure our city is safer. The perceptions about parking are challenging because if you go to Park City Mall, you're going to walk the same distance if you park on the second floor of the garage and you walk down to Prince Street Cafe. You might even walk further. And it's like this thing that we can't sort of move beyond. There is plenty of parking in the city of Lancaster. Go park your car in a garage, take the elevator down to the street level, and go explore the city. We have to continue to work on that and the perceptions about that. And then the other thing that was pointed out was the inconsistency of business hours. So there are certain days of the week where not a lot is open in downtown Lancaster. And I know that coming out of COVID, that's been a real thing. Like, where do you go for lunch on Mondays? And there's a few places that are really, you know, they're open on Monday. There's not as many restaurants open for dinner on Mondays or Tuesdays. There are many more restaurants, businesses that are open Wednesday through Saturday and maybe Sunday. But those Sunday, Monday, Tuesday days, other than the market day, is tough. And so the other thing is that some stores close at 5, others are open till 7. And so trying to have some consistency of business hours was something that was identified as a need. Okay, but I can't end there on like sort of the, we got to go back to some additional opportunities that are coming on board. We don't have anybody here from the convention center, but if you saw the newspaper article, I think they just presented to the county commissioners. It's been a good year. It's been a return of business travel in Lancaster at the convention center. And there's this new term that I just learned called bleisure, which is the blending of business and leisure, so that when people are going out for a business trip, they're often tacking on days because they don't want to add on additional travel time. And so they're adding on a day to go explore a city where they might be. That's good for us. The state focus on tourism and increased funding is good for us, as well as the Lydia Hamilton Smith, I always say her first, and Thaddeus Stevens. That's going to be coming online. What an exciting, exciting project that is for the city. And in 2026, there's this huge international event that's coming to Philadelphia called the World Cup. And we want to capture some of that. Yes, right, Cliff? So we're working on that. And then there's this thing called the Sesquicentennial, which I had to practice saying, which is going to be huge for Philadelphia as well. But we are also part of the story of the making of America here in Lancaster, and we are a short train ride from Freedom Hall and all the other things that you can go visit in Freedom Center, all the other things that you can go and visit in Philadelphia. So that brings us to sort of where we are now. The final plan, the tourism master plan, is going to be released early in 2025. I literally just read it yesterday. It is very draft. We have a lot more work to do, but it is also very exciting. This is a 10-year plan. The plan outlines short, like the low-hanging fruit, like let's just get better at this, to the midterm and long term. You may know that the Welcome Center is to be going through a renovation supported by CRIS dollars and bond financing. We were hopeful that the renovation would start this month, but it's actually going to start later, like end of first quarter next year. We're going to be working on that tourism rebrand or just a brand. I don't know, Cliff, do you recall us like having a specific brand for the city during your tenure?
I think the only ones that I'm really aware of is what FIG did early on in 05, 06, A City Authentic.
Yes.
And we kind of utilized some of that in our work because I've been in Discover Lancaster since 2008, so it was somewhat newish then. So it's been used off and on, but beyond that, I'm not necessarily aware of one specific to the city.
Yeah. And we want to continue to build our coalition partnership. Discover Lancaster, our regional DMOs, as we think about destination marketing organizations is what a DMO is, to think about how we regionally connect, and obviously the State Office of Tourism and Promotion. Cliff, I'm putting you on the spot a lot today. Do you want to say anything more about the partnerships with Discover Lancaster, or just from your experience working more collaboratively, I would say, since 2020, we've really dialed in and been working together with you all. Yeah.
Thank you. So again, my name is Joel Cliff, and I'm Director of Communications and Advocacy. So I basically do the PR and the GR when it comes to our organization. We have a Director of Sales, Chris Ackerman, and then a Director of Marketing, Sarah Long. All of us have been there since 2008. So between us, we've got, 48 years working on this. And I will tell you, just as an overarching theme, Sarah went to school here at Millersville. Chris came out of convention center work to here, and I moved up here from DC at the time. Anyway, from the get-go, all three of us coming into our slots and growing there, we wanted to incorporate the city with everything we do from that time. It's kind of like moving a battleship. It doesn't move on a dime. It takes a long time. So one of the things that you saw there with regard to residents' perceptions of their role or what we've been doing with regard to city marketing is probably also a little bit like visitors in terms of it's probably a little bit behind the times, and we need to obviously do a better job of communicating what we're doing, because we're doing city stuff all the time. When I deal with travel writers, my main role and media, I would say 8 out of 10 stories involve the city in some way. It's rare that I'm doing stuff just purely in the countryside. There's some of that, but a lot of things, because so much is going on here. So clearly, from a resident standpoint of the city, we need to do a better job of letting them know that we're weaving the city through things that we're doing in sales, marketing, and PR all the time.
Yeah.
With regard to the relationships that we've further built, I mean, we go all the way back to Moose.
Yeah.
And Jen's work, initially there with the special events.
Which was the beginning of Mayor Gray's administration.
Right.
Yep.
So it's 06, 07.
Yep.
And working with them, and then becoming Loop, and now the Bureau of Tourism here within the Director of Neighborhood Engagement. So we've had good relations, but they've continued to sort of build, and as the mayor notes, through COVID and just beyond, we've been having regular, collaborations with them, sort of feeding with them in terms of campaigns and ideas that we have, stuff that they're doing, where can we echo each other, and really kind of get a 2 + 2 = 6 type of benefit. And everything that we see here is great stuff that we want to be collaborative partners on and build on and continue to weave in the stuff that we do. So
Thanks, Joel.
we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to deepening our partnership with Discover Lancaster, because we are going to be working from a plan in which we can coordinate our efforts with our partners in the community. So with that, I just want to talk about 2 other quick things. One, you have our holiday guide, our holiday brochure in front of you. I'm just going to bring your attention to the right side of that. December 6th is today, First Friday. We have movie night, but we also have Light Up Southeast. We have Tuba Christmas. And when you walked in, you saw all of the setup for the market, Makers Market here in Ware Center. Santa in the city. I'm going to be out riding along with Santa tomorrow. It's going to be very cold, but there is a route, and you can bring your loved ones down to Yule Plaza. And then, of course, don't forget Shops Late, Lancaster Shops Late on the 13th. We have menorah lightings, and then, of course, New Year's Eve. I want to just continue to encourage all of you, when you are thinking about the holiday season and gift giving, to think local. It is so important. And I also want to bring your attention to this is our 2024 Visitors Guide, which you should have a copy around you. We are opening up in January, opening this up for the next round of business listings. So if you are a small business in the city of Lancaster or know someone who is, make sure that they look for an email from our team. And then the other thing that I want to tell you about is if you open your visitor's guide to like page 3, you'll see this on the left side, which is a picture of our app. Okay, how many of you knew that we had an app? Raise your hand. Oh, you guys back there don't count. You guys, all right. Okay, so we have, we launched this about 2 years ago. We have about 2,700 downloads. We've had about 10,000 unique users in the last 2 years. This gives us an opportunity to do push notifications, connect people to local businesses, etc. There are also table tents that are in every hotel room in the Marriott, as well as the Arts Hotel. And I have to double check about the Holiday Inn and the Holiday Inn. Thank you, Yaz. And area businesses that point people to download this app. And there's a QR code on the very next page, so you too can download this app right now. What's important for you to know is that this app exists. We want to be promoting it more, and we also want to make sure that our local businesses are making sure that we know that they're there and that they are on the app and featured on the app. So these are just a few of the things that we're working on in the next, 60 days is finalizing the tourism master plan, pushing out the renewal for the visitor guide. This will then be printed and available to the public in March. That's the aim. Okay, so how'd I do, you guys? This is not my everyday work. I hope that I've provided a good overview, and I'm happy to take your questions. What you got?
Hi, Mayor. Thanks for presenting. Great to see you again. In the past, with the city's, I forget the exact plan name, but you mentioned engaging the river in things. How does that play into tourism?
In a big way. So the Conestoga River has a whole section in our future Lancaster plan, really focused on reimagining the river and taking it back. You know, like it's always been there, but we haven't really thought about the river from a recreational, outdoor recreation and tourism perspective. You might have heard that the EDC has been looking at outdoor recreation and outdoor tourism as a part of this. And that's really something for us to latch on to as a county, because we have, well, Wally can speak to this as a cyclist, but we have an incredible community of cyclists that really, like Lancaster County is pretty amazing in terms of its cycling infrastructure that is around the county. There's a lot of different rides that are established. But back to the river, it's both connecting is it 50 acres, Diana? 70 acres of the northern tip of the peninsula to develop that into a preserve and to create a more passive recreation through a trail system, and also really think about how to elevate sustainability practices through that land. And then jointly, the Partners for Environmental Stewardship is in the process of developing a master plan that would include that as the preserve, as well as an environmental center that would be constructed there. So there are pieces of this that are all coming together. I would say that and Diana, you can correct me, I would say that the environmental center is not contemplated right now as a tourism destination, but the preserve, a boat launch, the lake that formerly known as the quarry, will have outdoor amenities that are going to be associated with that, as well as the connections to the active transportation plan that is multi-municipal, that the county has really led. So lots of exciting things.
Before we move on, actually, Diana, did you want to add anything to that, or?
Yeah, I guess I'm happy to. So if you're wondering what I'm doing in my new job, as I just mentioned earlier, I'm the new executive director of Partners for Environmental Stewardship, and just to elaborate on some of the work that the mayor was talking about, we're partnering with the city of Lancaster to develop a master site plan for a nature preserve on Sunnyside Peninsula. The next question I usually get is, where is Sunnyside Peninsula? So if you're not familiar with it, the Youth Intervention Center is currently on that site. You'll see it if you head out the southern part of the city, you'll find Sunnyside Peninsula, and along with that is to build a state-of-the-art environmental center that will host a number of environmental leaders. So that's a little bit about the project. You'll see us, we're going to be in front of City Council next week as we have a milestone of moving that project forward, but it's really going to be, the vision for that is, for the residents in a lot of ways, to have another connection point to nature and ways to get outdoors and do recreation and volunteering work, as well as have environmental education and workforce opportunities at that site. So we're really thinking about it as a community resource and broader community, but I'm sure as we connect that to the other outdoor rec amenities in the county, we'll also get some visitors out there.
Other questions?
Thanks, Leah. Lancaster uniquely has a position of being, for one day, the capital of the United States, and there are very few cities that have that honor. And with what you're talking about 2 years from now in Philadelphia, is there any way we can emphasize that and take advantage of that opportunity?
Yes. I don't know how, but yes. There's been more and more people that have been bringing that up and mentioning it to me as an opportunity, and I encourage that kind of collaboration in the community. And I would say that the city, we host a lot of events, but we don't host them all, and encourage other community partners to come forward and with ideas and things like that. Yep.
So for not doing this on a day-to-day basis, I think you did a pretty good job.
Thanks, Commissioner.
It was great. It was good. Like, yeah. We miss Millsy, though. She's great.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'm hoping and I'm thinking is in the plan is the heritage pathway. So when we start thinking about the recreational economy that the EDC is focused on, and then as we start, and John Hershey, you may want to have some other comments about that, where we're at with the heritage pathway, and I'm assuming most people know about it, but when you think about people, the comment you made early on about people come to Lancaster, they can come Pennsylvania Dutch, wanting to be out in, whose farm did you mention?
I said Jake's Buggies,
okay,
but
it was probably a good, I would say Yoder's farm.
Yeah.
I'm probably safe with that too. If they come for that, and then how do they, and then find out that they can also come into the city,
Yeah.
For an evening,
Yeah.
Or even just for bike ride, and then go
Yeah.
through the shops, and then vice versa. So is that going to show up in there, or Joel? If you want to, I don't know. I know you were connected with Places 2040 and some of that plan. Is that in it?
So I think that's a great question, Alice, and I'm going to have to follow up to see if that's going to come through in this plan. I know that that is definitely part of our active transportation planning, and with the expansion of Bike It, which I'm really excited, is multi-municipal now. So now there are bike shares in Manheim Township and East Lampeter, I believe, and we've also added to our fleet electric bikes to really help accommodate folks of all physical abilities to be able to ride through the city and around the city. So that is definitely a part of this, and I think that this is really a conversation for Discover Lancaster and the city to continue. It started under the previous president at Discover Lancaster, but then he went and took another opportunity. But we were having conversations with EDC and with other cyclist-oriented communities around the county for how we can elevate this, which includes the heritage. It includes the Enola low grade. It includes the connections through and within the city, all of those things. So that's a great question, and I think it's something that I should have added to my future opportunities list. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Mayor. One of the things that we do when we visit a city many times is we go on a Gray Line tour.
Yeah.
An overview of the city. We used to have a trolley, I haven't seen it recently, that sort of provided some of that. Is there thoughts that we could have that kind of overview of the city? Because we have so many things to show, the architecture, the museums, the art areas, all of that. Is that in the planning?
So I will say that we have a lot of walking tours that embark from the Visitors Center right next to Central Market. And Yaz, do you want to talk about the walking tours a little bit, like what's available in terms of the walking tours? Yes. can you introduce yourself again?
Hi, I'm Yasmin Way, Special Events and Programming for the City of Lancaster, Office of Promotion. We have some tours right now. Currently, there aren't any actively moving from our facility because of the weather. But when they open back up in the spring, we do have the African American Cultural Tour that does operate from our centralized welcome center. And we also have the historical history walking tour that also goes from our welcome center. And folks can come in, buy tickets. That is the pickup point for everyone, the point of interest. And the tours last about 90 minutes to maybe like 2 hours and a half. And we are looking to develop and are working on developing some other tours as far as like scavenger hunts and things along those natures that our tourists love to enjoy.
Yeah. So while we don't have exactly what you're describing, but we also have opportunities where we've created a curated of bike routes around the city to look at the murals and things like that. So it's not as general as what you're describing, that's pointing out both the historic sites, the arts, the food, all of that. And the trolley is still around, and we are using it on First Friday, and we will definitely continue to do that as part of our events to move people throughout the city. So you can pick it up like at Ewell Plaza, step on the trolley, ride up to the 300 block of North Queen Street, and then it loops around back down Prince Street. So we are providing that as a service to visitors on First Friday. And Yaz wants to say something more because I probably didn't get it all.
No, it's okay. We actually have the trolley running today, if anyone's interested. There will be Christmas carols being sang on the trolley today. So I just wanted to put that out there.
There you go.
Starts from 5 to 8 p.m. downtown.
Yep. Thank you, Yaz. Marshall.
All right, thank you for this informative presentation. You identified the challenges of no clear brand identity for the city and no consistent revenue stream to support a coordinated marketing effort. Could you zoom in on that, and has there been an effort to identify anything to provide that revenue in the short or long term?
Yeah, so there are some new grant opportunities through the state, which is good. Grants are good. We do a lot with grants. And we make those dollars go very far. But I think we need to think about how we come up with some sustainable way to do that without also competing with the county DMO. And there really isn't a structure for that in Pennsylvania. There are regional DMOs. And so whether that is like just making sure that there's more money going to Discover Lancaster, that might be great, or coming up with some kind of alternative. But again, the point is not to compete. It is to build out a fuller brand. And, Discover Lancaster, I'm speaking like they're not in the room, does a lot with the money that is afforded to them. But their budget is not like an excessive amount of money for them to do the kinds of things that we want to do in the city would require significantly more funding. So we got to figure that out. And there's a county commissioner sitting in the room and a representative elect. And so, these are things for them to continue to consider as we think about how we build out that infrastructure. As it relates to the brand, I think the next step is for us to, the way that we typically do things, and I'm like out over my skis right now because I've not talked to Millsy about this, is to issue an RFP in which all of the data that's been collected from the tourism master plan is then shared with a vendor to develop a brand, and then those brand concepts are rolled out and feedback is given. And whoever does that has to have a spine of steel, because this community will tell you exactly what they like and what they don't like, as they should. But there will not be a brand that everybody is going to love, because that's not how it works. So it's just a process. Because I remember when Authentic Lancaster was rolled out, and whew, it was rough going at the beginning. So I think that's just going to be, it will be iterative. But yeah.
Thank you, that's helpful.
No. Okay, over here.
Two things. Both of them a little bit wacky, but...
Oh, Mr. Mann, if it weren't wacky, you'd be letting me down.
One of my favorite stories is the 10-hour house. Are you familiar with that?
The 10-hour house?
Yes, two construction guys had a bet. One guy said, I can build a house in 10 hours, complete. And the other one said, well, no, you can't. So they had a bet. And it's on Queen Street. And I think the city should buy it. It should become a tourist attraction. Like, what does this house look like, inside and out, that was built in 10 hours? They had over 200 workmen on site putting this thing together. So they did it with about 15 minutes to spare.
Wow.
It's a great story. And one of the people, I for one would like to go through the house to see, like, what's it look like? It's still standing and occupied.
An old code compliant?
Well, this was 100 years
code
ago.
Code compliant, what's that?
And the second thing is, now this I hear, there's a psychological principle behind it. If you wanted to have people remember Lancaster as a name, you go out and advertise, don't think Lancaster. And the principle is, if somebody tells you, don't think of an elephant, the next thing you're thinking of is an elephant. So I've always wondered why that kind of advertising has never been used, because if you want to get people to think about you, tell them not to do it.
Very good. Thank you for those two ideas.
Was that a hand?
One hand over here. Two hands over here. I think she's been waiting here, and yeah.
Savannah is one town that has a trolley program like you were talking about. It's a very active trolley program.
Yes.
And you can either take the standard tour, or you can hire a trolley and have a custom tour. I've done that with a conference. And that might be a place to look.
Yes. So this is part of the exercise of us creating more destinations, things for people to do. And so part of it is also just like that right now, there's just not a capacity for that to happen. And, you know, there have been other entities, other individuals who have tried to start up tourism related, but, you know, it's a tough business when you have to market it and get people on a regular basis, and you have to do it so many times. And, you know, in seasonal peaks, it's really great. But when there are down times, you know, that affects that. So it is all part of the conversation.
I think the Savannah thing, I don't know this, but my suspicion is they charge the custom tours enough to help offset the regular tours.
Yep. Laura.
Thank you, Mayor Sorace, for your presentation. There's been a lot of wonderful conversation so far about transportation, and transportation is one of those things that, you know, if Lancaster is a nice place to live, it's going to be a great place to visit. And so I am wondering if we can dig a little deeper into how this master plan can continue to push for like full accessibility for visitors and residents alike in terms of public transit, walkability, bicycling, especially given that the city of Lancaster is a certified bicycle-friendly community.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so this is where the crossover happens between our Vision Zero work, the active transportation planning efforts, and the continued advocacy around transit, which is outside of our scope, but sits with the South Central Transit Authority, as well as the county MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So there are a lot of crossovers between what we are talking about related to tourism, which you have rightly pointed out, tourism, recreation, and just the basic infrastructure that's available and accessible to everyone. And so the challenge that you're raising, Laura, is that we need to continue to create the tie that binds between all of these plans, the comprehensive plan, the tourism master plan, our Vision Zero strategies, and the things that we're doing around that, while continuing to, keep our eye on the ball related to the metrics around walkability, miles of bike lanes, crashes, all of that data. And so, and that's really something that is my job and the job of Millsy as the Director of Neighborhood Engagement, and Steve as the Director of Public Works, and Chris as the Director of Community Planning and Economic Development, to think about how all of these things we are woven together. But it is, one plan is not going to satisfy you. It's really going to be, how do we look at this holistically? And that's important, because plans in isolation of themselves are not really good. In isolation of one another, I should say. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah.
We're going to do one more question, just 2 more minutes, and then we'll wrap up. So I'm sure you guys have more questions, but we'll end here.
Thanks, Leah.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Mayor. You mentioned that yesterday you saw a first draft of the master tourism plan. I was just curious if you could give us a sneak peek of maybe anything that was in there, or themes emerging, or maybe something that surprised you.
I think that this was the piece that really struck me, was these themes that were consistent across all of the data points. And I should note that a lot of people who took the survey, there were a lot of people obviously that live in the city of Lancaster, but there are also people from Lancaster County that took the survey. So it's interesting to me that even if you live in East Lampeter or in Manheim Township or anywhere else, there is a sense of pride about the city. And that is something that has really been changing over time, and is something that I continue to hold on to. You see fewer letters to the editor, and they're still there, but fewer letters to the editor and critical comments about how unsafe the city is, how clean it is, just sort of the hangover, I would say, from the last century to where we are now. And we need to continue to build that, because Lancaster, to me, should be the prize jewel for the whole county. And we are the county seat. We are the cultural center of the county. We are the place that, historically people came to sell goods and services. People are still doing that. They're still coming into the city to participate. Most of the people who come in, who are walking around downtown Lancaster on First Friday, are from the county. And so we need to embrace that. And I think that really heartened me as I was reading through this, that there's a lot of people that are rooting for the success of the city and recognize its connections to the county, in addition to the feedback from the city residents about the things that they really want, to Laura's point, which is, if we build a city that's really wonderful for the residents, it's going to be wonderful for visitors too. And that's definitely a core value that we're taking through this plan. Yeah, thanks for the question. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your questions. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And just to keep on your radar, this is the closing of our 2024 First Friday Forum, so thank you for joining. And also thank you to Diana for all of the work that she's done, kind of setting the scene for my work here. I want to let you all know that our First Friday Forum in January will be one that we do every year with our county commissioners. So thank you to Alice for joining, and I hope that you all will keep a lookout for our invite for that. But thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend.